Syria's a setup, and before you call me a crazy liberal conspiracy theorist nutjob, check out the video and the links in the description below. No war in Syria. By establishing a red line, Obama told the rebels what they would have to do in order to get America involved. Strange that it would finally happen, huh? And right now, who would we be assisting? Right now, the fight in Syria, it isn't between Assad and rebels. It's between Assad and 1,200 factions. I mean, that sounds like an awful lot, but let's break that down a little bit more. So there are other factions. Many of them are religious factions, many of which are Islamic extremists. So if we go over there and we bomb Assad, who are we helping? We're helping the non-extremists, and we're helping Al-Qaeda. The other reason this is a setup. So this is how we do things with economic hitmen, CIA jackals, and then eventually military action. But don't take my word for it. Don't. Seriously, don't. Go ask John Perkins about his book, The Confessions of an Economic Hitman, where he describes exactly how America will move in and take over resources, and then take over government, and then cause coups, and then send in military action to support the rebels of those military coups. Hell, right now, Iran's parliament just voted to start an investigation into building a suit against the United States for us having funded and orchestrated the overthrow and coup of Mohammad Mossadegh, a democratically elected leader. And before you say, oh, well, you know, he was doing all of this stuff, take a second to look back through the fog of war and see if that was really what was going on, or was that really part of the plan all along to make him look bad and justify his overthrow. And then finally, think about this. Egypt, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Israel, Afghanistan, Pakistan, all of these Middle Eastern country names. Those are pretty common words in our vernacular nowadays. And I understand that to try to connect them suggests there would be some kind of overarching conspiracy theory plan or whatever. But I think it's worth studying the connections between all of these countries a little bit more to understand why we're still involved with them at all. I mean, are we really spreading freedom?
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon, and for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you gotta come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper. He said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today. And he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
No military action in Syria. No matter what the action plan, if Assad strikes back, we are instantly at war with Syria and Iran because they have a mutual defense agreement together. And then they will be backed by China and Russia. So we'll be at war with 4 nations if we fire a single shot across the bow in Syria. No military in Syria, but we can send humanitarian aid to the refugees. We can contain the conflict within the Syrian borders. And we can keep pushing for diplomatic relations. Never mind that the non-extremists, they want us to stay out. Citing the fantastic job that we did in Iraq and Afghanistan, they'd rather have our diplomatic and our humanitarian support before we rolled in there with the military. Everybody knows what happens when we put more guns on the board. And hell, guns that we can't even afford to shoot. Everything about the US is a fiscal mess right now. Not a single state in the Union is fiscally solvent. And instead of cleaning house, we're gonna go to war? And for what? For what? A week before the government runs out of money and shuts down? We're about there right now. No war in Syria. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and check out the links down below. And thanks for watching and finding out what it takes to get our hand back on the wheel of the American machine.